Hello, welcome to the video of practical session of manufacturing technology. So before starting our practical of welding, let us discuss what do you mean by welding. So when we are talking about the welding process, welding is a permanent metal joining process. It means welding can be used for joining of two metals permanently, right? So welding is most widely used in many engineering areas because we cannot use or we cannot make any product in a single piece. So we have to use the joining. It means we have to make a permanent joint. So welding is a very useful process for joining of two metal parts, but here our purpose is to produce the heat. It means with help of the heat, and sometimes we are also using the pressure and filler material. So welding principle is nothing but with help of the welding or say with producing the heat, we can join two parts. So in today's session we are going to perform the resistance welding. That is one of the welding processes. So resistance welding is one of the type of the weldings that is under category of pressure welding, and here heat is generated by passing a strong current or high intensity current, and as we all know, due to the resistance, heat is generated, that is according to the equation I square RT, right? So in under category of the resistance welding, there are three processes of resistance welding. The first one is a resistance spot welding. So as the name suggests, welding is done at any single spot. Another is a seam welding, that is nothing but along the line. It means welding can be generated along some path or along the line, and resistance but welding is also one of the type of the resistance welding. So in resistance welding, we are using the concept of resistance. It means due to the resistance, the heat is generated, and always we are using the heat to melt the metals, and due to this melting, we can generate a permanent joint. It means with help of the resistance welding also, we can generate or say we can make a permanent joint with help of this principle, right? So in the resistance welding, today we are going to perform a practical of resistance welding. So before that, here construction details of spot welding setup, that is for the resistance welding, is shown over here. So let us discuss the construction detail of spot welding practical setup. So in the resistance welding, as per our discussion, we need some heat. It means heat should be generated in this resistance welding setup. So here, as per this image, here we can see that here in this image heat is generated, but here it is very important to note that here electrodes are used. So with help of the electrodes, we can generate some pressure, and also a strong current, high intensity current can be passed through these electrodes, and due to this high intensity current, due to the resistance, this current will be converted into the heat form. It means your electrical energy will be converted into the heat energy according to the equation I square RT. So when you pass the current for some time, this electricity will be converted into the heat energy. So here we are using the power supply that may be in form of AC power supply as well as DC power supply, right? So here copper electrodes are generally used, right? So here due to this copper electrodes, we are generating some pressure between two plates, as well as a current is passed through this copper electrodes, and due to this current, your heat energy is generated, and due to this heat energy, your metal will be melted at some point, right? And that's why this process is known as a resistance spot welding, because spot is nothing but it is any single point or any single place. So here, as per this concept, we are melting our metal as shown in this image, but at particular point only, or say at particular spot only, heat is generated. It means at particular spot your metal will be melted, right? So let us discuss which are the important components of our practical setup, and due to these components we can generate the heat, or in other words we can say that we can generate our permanent joint with help of this setup. So let us discuss important components of our resistance spot welding. So as per our discussion, our purpose is to pass the electricity and to convert that electrical energy into the heat form, and then only with help of this heat we can generate a permanent metal joint. So in the resistance spot welding, first of all, as per our discussion, we require a electrical power supply. That is most important, right? So in the resistance spot welding we need some power source, as well as mentioned over here, we need the electrodes. It means in the resistance spot welding we are using the copper electrodes. Generally we are using the copper electrodes, and between two copper electrodes we are placing our plates to be joined, and due to the pressure and due to the current or say electricity supply, we are converting our electricity or say electrical energy into the heat energy. So here, as mentioned, copper electrodes are used in the resistance spot welding, right, for generating the heat as well as for producing the pressure between two plates, because this is the type of the pressure welding, right? So this is also another view for the copper electrodes. So between this two copper cylindrical electrodes we can put our plates to be joined, and after that we can generate the heat. So as per our discussion, power source is also important, because without power source we cannot generate the heat, right? So that's why power source is the most important component of resistance spot welding. So here, this is our setup for our resistance spot welding. So we are going to perform the welding operation. So for that we need some power source. So here we can set our cycles or say voltage or another setting from this power source, and then we can do the spot welding. So power source is very important in our welding process. So let us start our practical working of our spot welding, that is for the resistance spot welding. So our main title is a resistance welding, and under this process is a spot welding. It means the resistance spot welding is a full name of our process. So let us perform our working of our resistance spot welding. So in the resistance spot welding, first of all, as per our discussion, power source is used, as well as we are using the copper electrodes, and also we are using our galvanized iron sheets, right? It means here we are using our plates, that is nothing but our raw material or say two plates to be joined. So this is the view of our welding shop, and in this welding shop we are going to perform our resistance spot welding. This is our setup for the resistance spot welding, and in this resistance spot welding two copper electrodes are shown in this image, and here with help of this copper electrodes we are going to make a permanent joint, right? So first of all we have to do is just switch on the electricity, but before starting the welding process we have to take care of our safety, right? So safety always comes first in any engineering areas. So here we are using the hand gloves as well as goggles as well as wire brush, and here two galvanized iron sheets are placed. It means two galvanized iron sheets that we are going to join, and we are taking both of the sheets. So here first of all we have to switch on our setup by just on off switch, and then after we can set our cycles or also in terms of second. So here we are just setting our cycles, that is around 40 to 45, then just we can set our thickness, right? It means here plate thickness are used for this setting. It means, for example, here we are using the galvanized iron 1 mm thickness sheet. So according to that we can check or so we can set our thickness. So here just by pressing the foot pedal, here what we can do is, here by just pressing the foot pedal both of the electrodes are coming together, and due to the resistance, heat is generated. So here, as mentioned in this video, heat is generated at the particular spot, and that is nothing but our spot welding. So here galvanized iron sheets are used, that is having a thickness of 1 mm, and just by placing the one sheet over another, total thickness is set as a 2 mm, right? So according to that, we can just set our thickness setting, and also we can set our different settings of the cycles, right? So here, just by passing the electricity, we can make a permanent joint. Thank you all of you.